Hot Springs Village Inside Out is a closer look at the greatness of Hot Springs Village, Arkansas and the surrounding areas. People, places, experiences. Hot Springs Village is one of the most beautiful places on earth. Join me, Randy Cantrell, and my co-host Dennis Simpson as we engage in weekly conversations to explore Hot Springs Village Inside Out. Today's show is brought to you by Central Arkansas's favorite radio station, KVRE. Find them on the dial at 92.9 FM. Stream them live at kvre.com. RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village. The award-winning RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village is the largest real estate office inside the village with over 30 full-time agents and support staff. Visit them to learn more about this beautiful place to solve your real estate needs. Call them today at 1-800-364-9007. Find them online at explorehsv.com. They are RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village at 1-800-364-9007 or online at explorehsv.com. Ike Eisenhower State Farm. Ike and his award-winning team have been serving the insurance needs of folks all around Hot Springs Village since 1998. Ike has qualified for State Farm's President's Club, Chairman's Circle, and Hot Springs Village Insurance Agent of the Year. Call Ike Eisenhower State Farm today at 501-984-4100. That's 501-984-4100. Find them online at ikeeisenhower.net. Call them today for all your insurance needs because, like a good neighbor, Ike Eisenhower State Farm is there. Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday
to us. Happy birthday, dear Inside Out.
Village, Inside Out.
Happy birthday to us.
Number two. So we're now the terrible twos.
Dose. Suck it. Dose.
Yeah,
Dose.
we're the terrible twos, and this will last an entire year.
Bad attitude.
Yeah, until June of 2024. Yeah,
Yep.
we will be angry and contentious, and
We'll need naps often. We will need naps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I need naps now.
And contentious, you say?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, we're going to challenge authority. We're going to be just
Authorita.
Yeah, we're growing up, so it's part of growing up. You have to figure this out. You got to push the boundaries and see what mom and dad will let you get by with, and so
ask more questions. Get nosier. Be nosier.
Questions.
Yeah.
A whole lot of questions.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, it really is. And of course, it feels longer to me because there was probably a solid year that I was thinking about it before you and I connected. But it's still, it's hard to believe for me.
It's hard to believe.
That it's been 2 years.
I don't know if you heard the radio show I did this last weekend, but one of the things I commented was, if somebody comes into your life 2 years ago and says, I got a great idea, you need to try a podcast. Hear them out.
Because you didn't listen very long.
I listened very long because I said yes.
Yeah.
And I'll be very frank. I also went on to say,
you enjoy being frank.
Well, but you're somebody
calling you Frank.
That's me. You should call me Frank. But no, I was going to say, very few people have influenced my life for the better more than you, my friend. It has been dramatic 2 years. Here we are, right?
Yeah, thank you. That probably speaks to how limited your friends are. But
I do need to get out more. Diane says that a lot. A lot.
No,
you
listen,
really need to get out.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate you, especially more so now because I've had to lean on you more than ever. And for a guy that hates to impose on people, I have imposed on this man an awful lot because, well, we bought a house. I probably should insert. I won't insert it in the show, but I will post it. I'll post the video that my son Ryan took. So I'll give you the super short abbreviated version of this. So
the joke on Dennis, that's the version.
That was it. Well, it was pretty good. And
it was classic is what it was.
We did it. We did it pretty well. Well, Rick did it. He did it pretty well.
Rick Marshall, Trademark Realty. They're here on the lake.
So the sequence of events goes something like this. A house that we lived in Texas for 25 years. We put it on the market. it had been on the market for a few weeks. We had nearly 20 showings, and we got an offer, and we countered, and they accepted our counter, and we had the closing set up, and there were no contingencies or anything. And this thing was set up to close, and we worked out the agreement. In fact, you did an episode on this.
And you were moving where?
Well,
TBA.
Yeah. Well, TBA, except we knew we were going to move into an apartment that was going to be roughly 6 miles away from the house that we were selling.
Right.
And so we had the delayed occupancy agreement.
DOA.
That we wanted to be in we needed 2 weeks. And they were very gracious. They didn't charge us anything. We paid a deposit like you would, a security deposit, so that we'd leave the place clean and all that. And we got that back. And that 2 weeks was a killer.
How'd your neck work out?
It was a killer. Well, I had a neck fusion done some years ago, and the vertebrae above it, unbeknownst to me, I don't know this until I go in, because I'm like, okay, this thing's really bothering me. And he says, well, yeah, this is pretty typical. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? This is the surgeon that did the surgery 10 years ago. And I said, wait a minute, what? It's, yeah, when we do a fusion, the vertebrae below or above, it puts more stress on those. And I'm like, you said nothing to me about this. Not that it would have changed me doing it. But at any rate, yeah, that 2 weeks was brutal. It was brutal. And before we closed, so we closed on the house, we're in the house for 2 weeks, and then we vacate the house. And that was important because I did not want to sign the lease on an apartment until we closed. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, well, we need 2 weeks to get out of here. And
so you literally don't have any place to live as of closing.
No, and Clara has said many times on our show, and I'm sure they say it in their office all the time, in especially a year ago, but even in today's real estate economy, if you're selling, have a place to go. She has said that on our podcast multiple times. And she's right. And I had an idea, but I didn't have a place secured. I was not going to sign a lease until we had funds in hand and all that. So we are scheduled to close, and I've been kind of looking at new houses over there, only for pricing. Wasn't shopping for new houses, but this lot that Dennis sold us on Geronte Way, which it's awesome. It's just awesome.
Overlooks Lake Lago. It is stunning.
Yeah, and the lot that we had was particularly awesome because there was a 25-foot easement between our lot and the very next house. So it was great. It was great. The plan was to build on that. So I was just tracking new houses just to see what the prices were going for, for trying to prepare. And the plan was we're going to keep our powder dry, as they say. We're going to sell our house, and we'll just kind of sit back, camp out on our funds, and kind of noodle around and prepare about this building thing. So I'm watching these prices on these houses, and there's one in particular, and it kind of had a good curb appeal to me. And it was built for the village on a ridiculously level lot. Mm-hmm. No crawl space, no basement, 1 story, about 2,200 square feet, perfect for us. Didn't know anything about the layout or anything, and it was now getting to a price where I'm like, you know what? I could be real tempted to make a run at that. Well, I hadn't said anything to Rhonda, and I finally broached it with Rhonda, and I showed it to her 2 weeks before we closed on the house. So this would have been a month before we vacated the house, 2 weeks before we closed on the house.
But now, listeners, I want to interject. This Rhonda girl, who is wonderful, and I love her, she's the same girl that when he said 4 years ago, I could live here. And I'm not just kidding. I mean, I could really live here. And Rhonda went, me too.
So could I. Yeah. I said, man, I could spend a lot more time here. She said, yeah, I could too. And that's what started it all. Yeah. And that was about 4 years ago. That started it all. Yeah. So I show her the house, and I said, okay, take a look at this. I don't know what the floor plan looks like, but the pictures, and of course, real estate photographers can make a dog of a house look great.
Exactly.
It's a real skill they've got, by the way.
It is.
But I didn't really know and didn't know anything about the neighborhood, had not spent any time in this neighborhood. And I said, find a reason that we shouldn't think about this. And immediately she looks at the picture. She said, I like it. I like it a lot. So we get the layout, we get the plans, and we get feedback. It was a trademark listing. And so Rick Marshall, who works at Trademark, I called Rick and I said, just give me a sense of this thing. So he did. He and his wife Liz went through and they looked at it and he said, I like it a lot. And here's the floor plan and blah, blah, blah. So we made an offer and the builder accepted it. And so we closed on our house on Friday that we sold in Texas. Moved into an apartment.
After 25 years?
After 25 years. Moved into an apartment on Saturday. Got in a car and drove to Hot Springs Village on Sunday. And Monday morning, we closed on the house there and drove back and loaded up a big truck on Tuesday and drove that back over and unloaded that Tuesday in the village. And that had roughly 90% of everything that we own. And I told Rhonda, I said, I don't know what we would have done if we hadn't bought this house. I mean, we would have had to have bought a franchise for Public Storage or one of these places. You know, I'd have no idea. So it was just, and man, I mean, things just fell into place. My favorite quote of all time, and I don't know who said it, so I'm going to start claiming it. Everything is hard until it's easy.
Yeah.
And I've added to that through the years. Everything is slow until it's fast. Well, you know, you go 4 years and it's just a grind and it's a grind. And all of a sudden it's like hair's on fire and you feel like you're shot out of a cannon.
Right.
It's just one thing after another. And yeah, and it took a toll on my neck. So long story short is we are now homeowners inside the village. We're not full-time residents yet, but we're working our way toward it. We are in the Coronado Lake area and couldn't be happier. Love the area, love the street. It's great. It's gorgeous. It's just pretty perfect for us.
It really is extremely nice. I've looked at a lot of houses in the village.
And
we got,
we got a really good deal. And the podcast had nothing to do with it, by the way.
No, it didn't. That's surprising, though. By the way,
I couldn't even play the card. I couldn't even.
What?
I couldn't even, I couldn't even do that old talk radio joke. Do you know who I am? couldn't even.
Do you care? No,
exactly. Couldn't play that card. A big shout out to Marla and the Advantage Title folks.
Give me a share screen when you can, by the way, because you know how I like to share screen.
Oh, come on.
No, I got a great one. You need to see it.
You probably
shout out to Marla.
Shout out to Marla and the folks at Advantage Title. And as we record today, we're releasing this about a week after we record. We closed on the lot that you sold us, overlooking Lake Lago. We debated probably a week before.
Really?
Yeah, it was like, okay, are we sure we want to do this? I mean, might we want to?
Yeah.
And we decided, no, we're good. We're good. So
it would have been a lot of work to build something there. And hang on, you got to give me the sheen square. I know. I do.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Host is disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay. Well,
hang on.
Because I don't want you to. No,
maybe not. But I have a great one.
It says one participant at a time. So
yeah. Okay.
You should be able to.
That's odd. That's odd. Anyway, no, I was going to show the picture of you, me, Rick, and why am I blank on your son's name? Ryan. When you surprised me, tell the story there.
Ryan. Well, yeah, I'll insert the video in the show notes. So you got to go to the website. Go to the website and you'll be able to see the video. So we come over to Dennis is sharing the photograph now.
Right after I was blown away, completely stunned. I had no idea.
So here's the context. My son Ryan is he has a home inspection company here in the DFW area, and so I knew I wanted him to lay eyes on this property. This is a brand new house. I knew I wanted him to lay eyes on it. He's never been to the village. This was his first foray into the village. So he and I got up and we left DFW at about 5 o'clock, and by 10 o'clock or so, we're pulling in. And Rick, of course, met us and let us in the house. And so, Ryan's kind of going over everything. And Rick and I had already planned to lure Dennis to the house. Dennis knew nothing about any of this. He didn't know that we were looking. He knew nothing about this. He knew we were selling our house and moving into an apartment, but that's all he knew. And so we kept it quiet. And Rick did a good job.
You got to come over here and see this, Dennis. You got to come see this. What is it? I've seen this house before, or I've seen this area. What? No, you got to come. You got to come see this.
So he lures Dennis into the entrance, and as you come into the entrance, once you get to the kitchen, the refrigerator inset. There was no refrigerator. The refrigerator inset is, is to your left. So I'm hiding in the inset. Ryan is behind a semi-closed door, which is the laundry room.
Right back behind his head right there.
Dennis has never met Ryan before. So by this point, Ryan is pretty much finished with the inspection. And everything was pretty perfect.
This could be a hostage event for all I know.
Yeah. And so Ryan's videoing this, and so we're waiting on Dennis to show up. Dennis comes in, and Rick greets him and lets him in, and he turns the corner, and there I am.
And Rick says, "What do you think about the house?" And then Cantrell hops out from the refrigerator, and I'm like, "Well, I liked it till the refrigerator." And you just all of a sudden there's this surprise, And I've seen the video. The look on my face was pretty stinking priceless. It was. I had zero idea what was going on.
Yeah. Marla and the Advantage Title folks got a good laugh out of it. We shared it with them, and so it was all kind of a blur. It's still really difficult for us to kind of get our head wrapped around. So no, we're really excited, and I got to say, as friends and as close as you and I are, Dennis has been, if not more excited than we are, as excited as we are, which is terrific. And we've had to lean on him and Rick, for a number of things because, we're not there full time, and it's great. I've told you repeatedly, I can't imagine people, and I know plenty of people do, and I doubt I can't imagine anybody moving into the village and being in a neighborhood where you would not have neighbors that would be more than accommodating. We just hear the stories all the time. I experience it. Everybody I know experiences it. It does help when you know people that are there who can kind of steer you. That was the impetus for this whole show. The impetus was you were the resident expert for me, somebody that had grown up in Arkansas. You knew the area like the back of your hands, even so much so that the details sometimes just my eyes roll in the back of my head because, Dennis starts talking about, you go down this road and here at this place. And I'm like, okay, I don't have a clue where you're talking about, because
let me do a screen share and I'll show you where it was.
Because he's traveled these places. But it's nice having that kind of expertise. And that really, that's a big part of the show for me because it still is a show born largely out of my curiosity and my questions. But so that's the big news. Hopefully we'll get there sooner than later. We've still got some things that we got to get done here in Texas and figure a few things out. So we weren't planning on this, but man, serendipity or
Lord's will
or providence, if you believe in that, and we do. So it's all good. It's been great. The oldest grandsons are coming the week of July 4th. They're not coming for the fireworks, so we don't happen to be all that hot and bothered that they're not on the 4th. I don't care.
Cares,
I'm not a fireworks person anyway, but they're coming to fish, so I'm gonna need to connect with some
anglers.
Got the boat.
Use the boat. Anglers. Use the boat here. You're good.
Yeah.
See, you hate being indebted to anybody for
Well,
anything. It's not
it's
indebted.
gonna be July 4th. I got news for you. That boat's gonna be in the water. You're gonna miss her who are in that boat. So
Maybe it'll be well, not every day, yeah, but okay.
yeah.
Well,
So
I do want to bring up a couple of things just to caveat here, just to
yep.
tie it in real quick. I wanted to say, and I appreciate your kind words. Truly, you know I do. I want to say that the inside out part, right? And we joke I'm the inside. So do we need to change the name to Hot Springs Village Inside? Joke. But the outside, Danette lives right across the lake. Danette Botkin, wonderful lady. Danette makes a great point. She said, we built this wall around this place and it's super safe. It's super secure. It's not the real world, but we still need to know what the real world's like. And from your perspective, when I say, well, what are other state governments like? I don't know anybody else in Texas city government. I know state government people here. I don't know anybody in city government. And your perspective leans, well, enormously. It's oversized. You would say, well, he's just a curious guy from Dallas. No. And we've talked about this on another show before. I think there's a whole mini series of little shows about, we talked about what day is your trash delivered and what day, how does the village really, really, really work? Like the newcomers meetings and all these. I mean, there's a whole series of stuff to do here, Randy.
Oh, listen, we know firsthand now just all the questions that you've got. And Dennis and I hear every week from people that have plans to build in the village. And and part of the reason that I did what I did is I've got too many friends and a few clients that are building houses or have built houses in recent years, and just the nightmares and the headaches that you hear. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I mean, I'm at an age I just don't want to do it. Last time I was there, we had lunch with Gary Mouton, and Gary, they built this ridiculously awesome house.
To die for house.
Lake DeSoto. And, and Gary's had a great builder. It's got nothing to do with the builder. It's just, come on. Yeah. It takes more money and it takes more time. And that's just kind of the nature of the beast. For us, it was like, okay, we've been in this house that was built back in the 80s, in the early 80s, maybe 1980, 82. And okay, brand new house, smaller footprint, but kind of laid out to suit us. And, and David, your brother-in-law, came over, and David and Tammy, put some shelves in and stuff for Rhonda for her sewing that looks pretty stinking awesome, and it's going to be pretty perfect. I've got some ideas for the Yellow Studio that I'm going to talk to them about, and if they want to take it on. If not, then I'll find somebody. But I got a feeling I want to give them first crack at it because they're my provider of choice. So yeah, I think the space is going to be, it's just going to be pretty stinking perfect, for us. And yeah, we're beyond thrilled. We still, it doesn't feel real because we're not there full time. We're there 4 or 5 days and then we're out of there, kind of a thing. And every trip has just been unboxing. And here's the problem we've got now is because we're splitting time in both places. We know we have it. It's somewhere. We're just not sure what state it's in or where it's at, or what box it's in. And so that's where we are. It's looking for a pair of shoes, and it's like, I know I got them. I know they're they're in their own box. I can't find the box. And it's like, well, that box is in another box, but I don't know where that box is.
I'm convinced, though, that when you're ready to move and they come to pack things up, about 10 to 15% of that stuff, you just need to say goodbye to it.
Oh, no,
never going to see it again.
Well, we did 2 things, and I'll end on this note so we don't go too long. We did 2 things. Well, I did 2 things. Number one, I purged. For months, I purged.
How many books, Randy? How many books?
3,200.
Gave away 3,200 books.
Yeah.
And this has been going on for the last few months, people. We've just not been talking about
the local library got, well, and that's the other thing I guess we should address. Let me make a excuse me, let me make a detour here. The detour is Dennis and I are good. We've always been good. I know Dennis has gotten it because he's there and I'm not. You know, my disappearance, Dennis got COVID. I got COVID. He got COVID and he was out of the country. And I never left the country and still got COVID. And we had all this other stuff going on. We were trying to get the house ready to put on the market. I started purging a long time ago. So it was about, I've been off the show on the air, as they say, for about a year. Not quite a year. And it has felt like it, by the way. But just too much going on. Just too much going on. And Dennis was still devoting a ton of time to it. I was still devoting a ton of time to it. I was doing, all the back end stuff, all the production
the
stuff.
magic stuff happened in Dallas. It didn't happen here.
You were doing all the on air stuff and I was basically doing all the other stuff. So we were still dividing and conquering and everything was fine. It was just, but it's also the good thing when you've got a partner, you can both kind of pick each other up and whatever.
And lean on each other. And yeah. I will say it because you will hear this eventually, because when you get here, and we're hoping maybe the end of the year, bottom line is, Randy, you and I have never had so much as a foul word. We have never had a cross word with each other. We just get along that well. It really, and it's our personality types. It's our whatever. I don't know, but for those rumor mongers who go, well, what has happened to Randy? Nothing's happened to Randy. He's busting his ass. That's what's happening. Yeah.
The life got in the way. That's what happened. Life really got in the way. Well, come on, when you're, and I'm considerably older than Dennis. I just turned 66. So, and I do have a day job. Dennis has multiple day jobs. So, we're very busy. The good thing is, and what I recognized when I did it, was Dennis is having all these conversations anyway. Because that's just the kind of guy he is, and you guys know that. Being the extrovert that he is, he's having all these conversations. He's having lunches. Okay, so now he's recording. He's recording more of them than maybe he would otherwise. It also enabled him to schedule things way easier, because when you're trying to schedule a guest, all you got to do is worry about your schedule and theirs. Now insert a third person, and this could be me, it could be Dennis. It doesn't matter. But you insert a third person, and when you both got day jobs, and now we're trying to get a calendar to fit, that's cumbersome.
It gets logarithmically more difficult. And I don't mean exponentially. I mean logarithmically.
Yeah. And that was a true challenge. Now, that wasn't the reason for it. The reason for it was COVID and our little big monumental life changes that we had planned, namely to purge, get our house ready, a house that we'd lived in for 25 years let's get this thing ready and let's get this thing on the market. And then you got to worry about, come on, we got to get this thing, it's got to be show ready. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that meant even Rhonda had to do a ton of purging of, kind of personal stuff. Just the photographs and stuff. When you think about family photographs and stuff that you've got in your house, and now you got to take all those out and put those somewhere. These were just, and when you're already 65, I'm not old, but I am old, right? We're not 40.
Yeah.
There's a big difference, when you're trying to tackle those things. And meanwhile, Rhonda's working full time. So yeah, it was kind of a perfect storm, and it was a good opportunity, so there were legit reasons. Yeah. Trust me, there was no riff at all. And now that we've kind of got a lot of the dust settled, I'm back. Does that mean we're going to be together on every episode? No, but I can tell you this, and I'm driving the bus on it, and I've told Dennis, he and I are going to do more shows together, because there's still a whole lot of questions that I've got and a lot of things that Dennis does know, and he's perfectly capable of saying, he doesn't know, and that's okay too. but I got a feeling, and the whole Inside Out thing, to address that very quickly, Outside the Village is pretty stinking awesome too. I mean, there's an awful lot of places. One of the first shows that we did was a 360, kind of a 360 tour.
2 parts
around the village, and the show notes or the blog post that associated with those shows is extensive. The places that you can go visit, the places that if your family comes to visit you and you are a resident in the village, the places that you can take them, I mean, they would have to stay with you for a long, long time before you ran out of places to go and adventure hunt. And so that was the reason for the Inside Out. Yep, it's inside first because we start inside the village because we kind of view that as ground zero. I mean, this is the Mecca, but outside the gates, there's some really, and you don't have to go far.
No,
you don't have to go far.
Two things to show real quick, because we are doing the birthday show and kind of come back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, recently we had Liz Robbins from the Garland County Historical Society. What a show. Oh my Lord. One of them, and now there was a lot of screenshots, but it was one of the most amazing. I can't wait to get her back on. And by the way, I haven't told you, Randy, I've called the Historical Society, and I'm giving them phones, because this is a wonderful, wonderful charity. These are awesome people, and I literally love them. I want to have them back on. But to go back to it,
Total Telco, by the way.
Total Telco can help you, with D&D Village Properties, which you hear every Saturday morning,
all right,
at 10 till 11.
Yeah, I know.
But we had Tim Ernst, clearly, without question, the number one.
If he could just figure out a way to use a camera.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the number one wildlife photographer, the number one photographer in all of Arkansas, no question. 65 books, tons and tons and tons. And he's on our show, and I'm thrilled he's on our show, to which he says, if I didn't live in the Buffalo River Valley, I'd live in Hot Springs Village. And you could have tipped me over with a feather.
Really?
This guy he has thousands, tens of thousands of photos from the Buffalo River. It is an exceptional place. He comes here and does a seminar with his brother lives here. He does a seminar with his brother. He stays with his brother, and he's like, if I had to do city life, this is where I'd be. Right. This is where yeah. No, and one more.
I'm sitting where city life is, dude.
No, he's talking nearly 10,000 people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Town life. Yeah. But the one more, Liz Bumpersnicker, Liz Bumperside, that her show never made it.
Yeah.
But I still want to record with her. She was a purser on a commuting ship that went from port to port in Alaska. And she said she came to a family reunion in Bentonville, and she looked around and she went, so this is Arkansas, huh? And now this is somebody that lived 28 years in Alaska. And she said, and I won't quote her exact word, but she's a wonderful young lady. But she said, Alaska doesn't have stuff on Arkansas. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
She says, no. All those mountains, it's gorgeous. I said, yeah. She said, you can't get there.
Right.
You can walk up our mountains. You can't get there. By the way, Randy, and just another sideline, I was looking at Facebook earlier yesterday and today. Guess where Liz is today? Miss Bumpersnicker happens to be at Petty Jean at the pool at Mather Lodge, where we spent a lot of time on our first episode with that. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, couple of shout outs. Don't mean to ramble on, but honestly, the list of people we've had over the last year.
Yeah.
Ernie Deaton, I mean, fill in the blanks.
Yeah,
triple Dove Award winners, anyway.
Well, and hopefully the audience senses that. I mean, we have been able, not through any prowess on our part, but the podcast has served as a vehicle for us to invite some incredibly remarkable people, I think. I can tell you straight up, the last 2 years, a little bit of reminiscing. Yeah, I didn't expect that. Really? I didn't expect that we would get an Ernie Deaton
or a Bruce Westerman, national Senate Congressman.
I wasn't expecting that. I really wasn't expecting I was expecting, we've talked about this before, I was expecting that the citizens inside the village, that would be first and foremost our audience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very quickly, we realized, okay, well, the podcast is selling houses. We're like, wait a minute, what?
We didn't mean to do that. We're really sorry. We're
Yeah, I
really
mean, you know,
sorry.
when real estate offices are telling you, okay, yeah, we got a phone call from somebody. They said they heard about the village and they called us and they're going to be coming to town and they want us to show them some houses. And we're like, wait a minute, what?
We need to start putting pins on a board, though. We had Chicago, we had Dallas, we had Atlanta, we had New York, we had North Carolina, Germany, Austria.
Some of the first emails that I remember were coming out of New York, and I'm like, how in the same hill somebody in New York listening to a podcast about a place in Arkansas? But
little did we know.
Well, I think it shows you a lot of things. Number one, there's no question it shows you the grain of America, which has been. I mean, come on, I'm a boomer. You know, our parents were, as Tom Brokaw says, the greatest generation, and there is a wave of us, hence the gray wave.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people are just tired of it. I know here in DFW, and we have been, you know, Rhonda's a Fort Worth girl. We've lived here for 30 plus years. The place has dramatically changed in the last 5 to 10 years. You know, there's nearly
8 million people. What's
just about, not quite, but we're the number 5 media market in the country now. And it's, it's just different. It's just different. And I'm a city guy.
Yeah.
I'll be the first to tell you, I'm a city guy, and I've been a city guy all my life. But Hot Springs Village just in 2018 became a respite for us, and we loved it and really never turned back. And here we are. I wouldn't have dreamed in a million years in 2018. You know, one day, Rhonda, we're gonna own a home in one of these lake neighborhoods. We're not on the water. That wasn't important to us. If it's important to you, then prepare to pay.
Get out your checkbook.
Is all I've got to say. Well, listen, you're on it and it's great. I love looking at that view. That's the other good thing about here. I mean, I was talking to Marla today over at Advantage Title because they handled the closing for our lot that we bought from you.
Right.
And I told her, I said, you know, one day I might. I said, if I did buy a lot, I'm buying Piney Woods the next time. She said, you can just come over. You can just come over to our house. And I said, okay, is there, you know, but I hung up the phone from her and I thought, you know, there is that.
There is.
I mean, there absolutely is that. So you can make friends, and you can make friends on golf courses, on lakes, out in the woods. Come on, you can have access if you're just willing to be friendly and make some friends. And virtually everybody I've met is willing to do that. And so,
well, let me interject real quick. Just something that people don't know about you that they're about to learn as you come closer. People say, "Well, Dennis is the extrovert," and yeah, I'm the extrovert. We would think that Randy he's just shy and doesn't want to talk to anybody. No. He and I think this is hysterical, by the way. The very first neighbor that Randy runs into while I'm standing there at his brand new house, and she said, "Hi, my name is Karen." About right. She had no idea what that meant. She didn't know what a Karen was. No. Super sweet lady, couple of sweet dogs, had no idea. But I about peed my britches.
Well, she's got one sweet dog. The other one's a rabbit. Likes humans, hates other dogs, as Scraps found out very quickly.
I didn't tell you. He attacked Scraps the other day. Scraps turned, bowed up on him, and looked at him and like, what? Yeah. And it was over, and he turned around and came back, and I'm like,
well, there you go. There you go. Oh, anyway. She couldn't have apologized. She was so apologetic. I'm like, don't worry about it. He's fine. No, listen, I'm an introvert that looks like an extrovert. There's no question. Oh no, listen, I'm very sociable. I'm beyond outgoing. I'm not wired like you are.
You don't get your energy from that.
It just drains the snot out of me. It so drains me. But no, it's been a good 2 years. We've got plans ahead to improve the show. You know, we're always wanting to improve it.
Randy, tell the nice people how we would improve it. We would get more feedback from you people. We'd be loved. Seriously, we read everything that comes in.
Maybe sort of. This is a big thing in podcasts. Like, how much do you listen to your audience? And I've got history as a podcaster. Not at all. I do what I want. My attitude.
Well, we do like to hear what you're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, it's our show. We're going to do what we want. Doesn't mean that we're arrogant and not going to listen to you.
No.
So no, your point is well made. Well, we just, we want to get better. We want to up our game. We both know that we can. I think we're both talented enough that we know we can do that, and we want to. We've just really kind of been strapped to a rocket, though. So we've just been trying to figure this out in real time, and that's easier said than done.
That's true. And I do want to make note one thing, and let's just call a spade a spade. Randy, when we started this, the idea of monetization was an idea. It was a concept way down that road.
Well, I mean, I can tell you the conversation took maybe 15 seconds in the very first conversation. There was no design to make money, but we're both capitalists, unapologetic. But I told Dennis, I said, okay, here's the deal. If we do anything, we're just going to split it. Even Steven, and that's how it's going to roll. And
that's how it's been from day one. And by the way, it's wonderful.
There was no design that anybody would.
Well,
the podcast has got reach. The podcast has got influence, and that's due only not through our talent. That's due only because of the ears and the eyes of the audience. And so, to say thank you isn't sufficient.
Not even close.
Because I've been podcasting for over 20 years, and every podcaster is real fixated on making money. We were not, still are not, fixated on making money. I have never monetized a podcast before. It just wasn't, I didn't care. I did this because I loved it. I did it for the work that I do. I did it so that people could click play and very quickly get some kind of a sense of who I am and how I roll. And so any city or anybody that was looking for a leadership or executive coach could say, I don't like him, or I do like him. And either way, my attitude is I win, because the quicker that they come to a no or a yes, the better it is for both of us.
Well, you don't want a yes under a false pretense.
No,
we're not who we thought we were. We're not who you thought we were.
That's right. And we really came at this kind of the same way. I just was a guy very fascinated by this place, and I had a lot of questions. I have not even come close to exhausting the questions that I've got that can still be addressed and answered. And I now know, after 2 years, that the questions that I've got, it's like the classroom and the kid that asked that question, and they're bashful to ask, but eventually some kid does. And meanwhile, about half the class is glad that kid asked, so they didn't have to.
Is that double spaced?
Yeah, and I'm smart enough to know the questions I've got. There's a whole lot of people in our audience that have those questions too, because we now have learned that an awful large segment of our audience, they don't live in the village. There's a decent percentage of people who've not yet even visited the village.
Yeah.
And that's pretty fascinating that people listen to a podcast. They will watch YouTube videos of this place that they're hoping to one day visit. And there's still an awful lot of people that are considering Hot Springs Village as their next stop. Or as Rhonda and I look at it, this is the final stop, as far as, we got no designs to do anything else, house-wise than what we've already done. So everything's subject to change. You never know. But we want to keep getting better. And anyway, so happy birthday. Happy birthday to us. And here's to the next year, and we'll play it a year at a time.
And happy birthday to our sponsors. I was just going to say, making a little money at this makes it easier to do 2 a week. Some days, there are some times during the week, this takes a lot of time.
People wouldn't believe us, and it would sound like we're griping, and I'm not, but we spend hours and hours a week doing it. And it's just as people like to call money, a certificate of appreciation kind of a thing. First and foremost, big shout out to KVRE. They were kind of our exclusive media partner right out of the gate. We shared an awful lot of things in common. Number one, we are both audio mediums, so they could get it, and microphones is our way of life, and so is theirs, and so that's been a great relationship. And now that we've got a little bit of airtime is a huge bonus.
Well, and to explain just for a split second, I apologize, I don't mean to interrupt you, but part of that is a lot of times you'll see a KVRE post on the Inside Out Facebook page, or you'll see a Facebook from us on the KVRE page. Having those media partners, we knew from day one was going to be fantastic. And the answer, as you said, Randy, is from day one. We said, would you? Yes. I didn't get to finish the sentence. Yeah. Yes. So those people are not forgotten.
You had a prior relationship with them, which was not lost on me. And that wasn't the reason that you and I connected, but I knew that Dennis had connections there. And to me, it just seemed like a very logical fit. It certainly helped us. It legitimized us right out of the gate. There's no question. Clara Nicolosi and the Remax team. Words would fail to give proper thanks to Clara, particularly, and her team over there. I mean, she is the queen of the village for a reason. And
I saw a plaque on the wall the other day. 168 million reasons that she's the queen.
Isn't that amazing?
It's astonishing. 168 million, 43 agents. So I mean, they work a lot. Yeah. But the total of their transactions last year was $163 million in a place that doesn't have 19,000 people.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's pretty crazy. Well, Clara, I mean, she saw the value right away, and was one of the first to report to us that she was selling houses. And so that was huge. I mean, that was huge. That was huge for her and Remax. It was huge for us. We just kind of noodle stuff around. I mean, we were just very candid. We had multiple conversations where we were just spitballing. We're like, I don't know. There was no grand design. Hey, here's how much we were just spitballing and trying to figure things out. And then after her first 6 months, then Ike jumped on board. If there is a king to the queen, it's got to be Ike. I mean, both of them are so community minded. Both of them are so pro the village. Both of them are so high on the place and have deep roots here and deep connections to just a ton of charity work and a ton of causes that they both support. And so we knew that it would give us the opportunity to serve them and all this charitable work that they both do, for us to just kind of be the loudmouths that help them talk about that stuff. So yeah, huge shout out to both of them. They both have re-upped through the end of the year. So, and we have exclusive agreements, with them. So we're not like traditional broadcast media where, here in Dallas, it's kind of funny. You'll hear somebody run a spot. They'll be pick something, here foundation
HVAC or whatever.
Well, it'll be foundation repair.
Yeah.
So if there's a foundation repair company, give it 3 days and there'll be at least 4 more, advertising, because what their sales team is doing. They're going, your competitors advertising on our space, which I get it. That's a radio thing.
Sure.
It's not the way we roll as a podcast. So, but big shout out to all 3 of them. We absolutely would not be where we are without them.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm headed off for a few weeks. We're going to be out of country for a little while. And I wanted to make note that when I come back, we've had a solicitation that we're going to take up on. Mr. Huckabee, former Governor Huckabee, is going to bring his band, the Capital Offense, to Hot Springs Village. Capital Offense. Don't you love that?
I do.
He's a great bassist, by the way.
Is he?
I've actually met him. Yeah, I met him in person a few times. I actually was running sound at some churches where he was. And did I tell you that story, that he said that he was first youth pastor at First Baptist in Texarkana, and they pulled up to a stoplight, and this lady was it was a hot summer day and the windows were down, and this lady was screaming at the kids in the back, saying, "You kids, get down back there. I'm going to smack you. And she's just screaming at the top of her lungs. And Janet, smugly as a teenager only can, turned to Mike and said, when we have kids, our children will not behave that way. And Mike said she was right. They were much worse, much worse.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, we do have some great new shows coming up, and ever expanding, I think might be the way to call it.
Yeah. All right. Well, any last parting shots? Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Randy, it's been a pleasure, my friend.
Thanks for watching and listening to Hot Springs Village Inside Out, a weekly podcast starring Hot Springs Village, Arkansas. Visit the website at hotspringsvillageinsideout.com.